President Trump has raised concerns about potential bias in Google searches against Republicans and conservatives. Many conservatives claim that platforms like Facebook and Google act as monopolies, restricting conservative viewpoints. Conversely, those on the left assert that these platforms contributed to events like Trump's election in 2016 and the violence in Charlottesville in 2017. Both sides increasingly believe that government regulation of social media is necessary for balanced free speech. Yet, American law typically restricts governmental control over speech, including online. Regulations might inadvertently limit individual speech or a platform's right to curate its content, with the First Amendment offering significant protection against such constraints. Congress has also shielded tech companies from most liability for user-generated content. The Supreme Court reinforces that private companies do not have the same First Amendment obligations as government entities. Despite some activists pushing for government oversight, there's skepticism about the effectiveness of this approach. Historical evidence suggests that government regulation often reinforces existing monopolies rather than fostering competition. Concerns about filter bubbles hindering democratic discourse are acknowledged, yet substantial evidence to support these claims remains lacking. When it comes to speech linked to violence, like terrorism, some regulation is permissible. However, broad regulatory efforts face constitutional challenges. Current policies regarding foreign interference in U.S. elections lack coherence. Legal complexities exist around foreign speech that emphasizes the need for careful consideration of regulation. Significantly, preventing harm from fake news and hate speech is largely beyond government jurisdiction. Tech companies are motivated to minimize these issues, often more proactively than any proposed regulatory measures. In the context of social media, these platforms grow as hubs for user-generated content and interactions. Definitions of social media vary, however, they generally enable users to share, comment, and modify information collectively. This differentiation from traditional publishing underscores the role of users as active participants rather than mere consumers. Economically, social media rely on user-generated profiles and data to connect users and target advertisements effectively. The interactions on these platforms involve complex speech dynamics, blending user-generated content and commercial speech. While America values individual speech robustly, it recognizes limited exceptions. Commercial speech enjoys increased protections from regulatory measures, which complicates potential government actions on regulating social media. Both the users and platforms benefit from immunity against broad governmental control. Regulations that imply content moderation on social media could create significant obstacles to free expression. Platform owners like Facebook maintain editorial discretion and employ moderation policies that reflect their values and community standards. This has led to discussions about the legal implications of social media platforms regulating content without government intervention. Using historical context, we see that past regulatory efforts often resulted in concentrated market power rather than competition. The rise and fall of different social media platforms showcase market fluidity, debunking claims of permanent monopolies. Diverse alternatives exist for users, demonstrating that exclusive access by a few dominant players isn't as impactful as some argue. Critics will point to monopolistic behavior and claim that regulation might mitigate content moderation bias. However, the current marketplace offers an abundance of alternatives for those excluded from mainstream platforms. Historical shifts among platforms indicate that competition strengthens the ecosystem, keeping large entities accountable. Concerns raised regarding the intersection of technology with democracy are valid. Political speech extends beyond the online sphere, affecting individual freedom and public discourse at large. Attachment to online communities often spurs polarization. However, evidence is mixed regarding the actual prevalence and impact of filter bubbles. Democratic values necessitate ongoing deliberation about free speech. The digital landscape's configuration allows users more exposure to diverse viewpoints than many realize. In the political realm, engaging various opinions is crucial to nurturing informed citizenry. Many studies counter claims that social media leads to increased polarization, instead suggesting users frequently encounter contrasting perspectives. Policy proposals aimed at regulating free speech online tend to falter against constitutional protections. Authentic dialogue and debate must occur within the constraints society values, particularly regarding engagement with challenging perspectives. Overregulating speech, particularly user content, risks stifling the dynamic nature of public discourse. As digital platforms navigate the complex relationship with government and public expectation, striking a balance involves recognizing the potential perils of too much regulation. Ultimately, industry leaders and private entities may be best situated to handle moderating challenging content while preserving the essence of free speech. In conclusion, navigating the regulation landscape demands a nuanced understanding of free speech's implications. Regulation could drown out diverse voices in favor of control, undermining the foundational principles of democratic engagement. Platforms themselves are equipped to address these concerns without jeopardizing free expression, an essential characteristic of a vibrant society. For more insights on this complex topic, consider exploring further discussions and analyses on the regulation of social media and free speech. Feel free to engage with us in the comments and share your thoughts.
Thanks for watching Zenvix. Subscribe for smarter health and science.